Today, I tell a humorous story that is so true, but can definitely help you in your sales, marketing, persuasion, selling, coaching, whatever you're selling. This is definitely going to be, again, a game changer. And I'm going to give the real novelty behind it. I'm going to give the almost gimmicky side behind it. And then we'll go into more of the professional, how you can use it. Now, some of you are going to listen to this and you're going to use the gimmicky side because that's just who you are and you're going to love it. And it is fun. But then more of you are going to take it into more of the professional realm. Again, I'm not doing a full masterclass on this. That's for our private students. But I did want to jump in here and talk about persuading others by uncovering or unveiling a little more of who they are.
Your ability to persuade others is one of the most powerful resources you will ever discover. During this eye-opening podcast, you'll join Wayne Sutton as you uncover the secrets of influence based upon science and proven in the real world.
Today's podcast brought to you by sellingyourcoaching.com. Sellingyourcoaching.com. If you're a coach, consultant, course creator, and you are in the beginning stages or you're already doing multiple six figures and you're looking to scale, then jump on board, sellingyourcoaching.com. Now, let's get into the podcast. So how do you uncover more about your prospect or get them to uncover more about themselves, and from that build your business? How do you connect with them, use that as lead generation, etc.? So I'm going to go way back. So I remember driving into work. At the time, I was a service manager of a dealership, and I'm driving into work and I'm listening to a talk show host out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm listening to this talk show host and had a guest on, and this guest was a handwriting analyst, handwriting specialist, bought back. So I'm listening to it, and I call my buddy up. I'm like, dude, you got to listen to this. And he's like, I'm already listening to it. And so at the end, of course, what you could do then was like, write out a sample of your handwriting, write out this sentence: the lazy brown dog jumped the fence at the zoo, or something like that. And sign your name, and you would fax it in. Remember fax machines, guys? Some of you do, some of you don't. But you would fax it into the radio station or to Bart's house or whatever. And then Bart would actually do a handwriting analysis. Now, the study of handwriting analysis or graphology is a true study, because the way the unconscious mind or subconscious mind works, it comes out not only in our physiology of our body, but even in our handwriting. However, not going into that today. The point was, he could tell you stuff about it, and people were intrigued. So I thought, hey, I'd like to have this. I'd like to have this. I don't remember what it cost. You could buy his book. His book was really good. And his book gave some tips and ideas on personal development, overcoming limited beliefs, but it also taught how to read some of the common traits in handwriting. Well, my buddy Rome, he went a step further. He was like, I want it all. I want the certification course. I want to get certified. And 20 plus years ago, it was like $2,000. So it was the first high ticket, I guess. And he got all of these modules and all the tests, and he had to take the test and send the test in. And anyway, he got certified. So I got, quote unquote, certified by proxy, I guess by being there, by proximity. So I would watch him, and he would analyze handwriting, and he made a game out of it. And so we'd be at a restaurant because we were both selling. I was service manager at the dealership, and then I was in sales at the same time. In evenings, I was selling life insurance, prepaid legal policies, health insurance, whatever the people needed. And so we ate out a lot. So we're at restaurants, and the waitress would come, and he'd be like, hey, I'm curious about something. Can you just sign your name here? Can you just sign your name? A lot of times they would bring a check, and they would sign their name anyway. And they'd be like, yeah, why? And he'd be like, I may be able to tell you something about you don't know. It's like, wow, is this guy a fortune teller? Is he a psychic? And he would explain briefly the study of graphology, being a graphologist. Anyway, they would write their name, and he could tell them just by looking at the pen strokes. And he could look at the depth of some of the angles, some of the sharpness, some of the way the words were angled to the right or left. And he would say, hey, listen. And he would bring out these questions, right? He would state, hey, this is what it says about you. Is that true? Have you? And then they were shocked. They were amazed. They're like, oh my gosh. And they would go get another waitress. We've been in places where the manager would come up and go, hey, what's going on? You guys have got to get that to work. And they were like, "You've got to see this, Bob." And then Bob would get his handwriting. I don't know how handwriting analyzed. I don't know how many meals, drinks we got absolutely free. And so really neat. I was doing life insurance. So life insurance, I was like, "Hey, can you fill out this pre-application form here?" It was simple stuff like, how many children do you have? How much insurance do you have? Simple things. I could have asked them, but instead of asking them, I put it on the form and I wanted them signature. What it did was get two things. Number one, it kind of primed them that I'm going to ask questions they're going to answer. It kind of primed the situation that there's going to be documents to sign. Are you with me? So I was like persuading, but at the same time, I would look at the handwriting and go, "Oh my gosh, does this make sense to you? Are you the type of person that?" And I would start revealing things. What was so powerful about it is I understood linguistics. I was studying at the time under Tad James and Rex Sykes and different people in NLP, people using language patterns for sales. So I started taking those same language patterns and elicitation questions and started embedding it. So I would say, "Hey, are you possibly," and I would mention a character trait. Have you become aware of the fact that you're sometimes like this?" And I would use something very soft, something to get them talking. And then I would use elicitation questions. "Well, really, you are? Well, I'm curious. What's important to you about that?" And I had people that were just mind blown years later, literally years later, go, "Oh my gosh." I'll tell more stories on this at another time. I want to really get into how you can use this. I had many meals, drinks for free. I've had people that I was not married at the time, so I've had people go, "Wow, you understand me better than anybody from just my signature. We should go out." A number of dates from that. Gimmicky? Possibly. But accurate? Absolutely. It was absolutely accurate. So it was fun. It was interesting. Taught us a lot about people, built some great connections. And we definitely sold a lot of insurance from it because these people were like, yeah, it was like instant, this person knows me. It was a weird experience. So do you need to go out and become a graphologist to sell more? Absolutely not. But it goes back to people want to know about themselves. That's why people go, "Oh, let me do a personality profile. Are you a high D or high I? Let me do the DISC profile. What's my Enneagram say? What does this say?" And even like crazy stuff like, "Hey, what is I'm studying the horoscopes." But people really want to know about themselves. And the key is that I would give them 2 or 3 things I could plainly see. Plainly. And I'm like, "Hey, you may or may not have noticed this yet, but this is what I see. Does that make sense?" As soon as you get a yes, this makes sense, then that's called pacing. Pace. Then you can begin to lead. That's another lesson altogether. But the power behind it was still there. Now, how do you use this today? Again, you don't have to say, "Hey, I do handwriting analysis." No, it's crazy. It's not necessary. But what you can do is you can create quizzes. And now there's quiz funnels, whole quiz funnels, like, "Hey, what body type are you?" I remember once, I'm just scrolling my phone, "Hey, what body type are you?" If you want to build muscle, there's four different unique mechanisms based on your body type. Ectomorph, endomorph, whatever the other ones are. You can ask, let's click on it. It asked about 20 questions. Then as a personalized, quote unquote, personalized video popped up. "This is what you need. Here's what you're facing." I went through it. I'm like, "Hey, this is good. $77. You can get this. I bought it. Hey, for another $197, you can get this. Hey, for $47 a month, we'll train you on this. Upsell. Because I wanted to know about me. Same with personality types. In my study as a Christian counselor, I would do what we call temperament profiles, which is based on somebody's inborn temperament. Now, extremely scientific. But people would be blown away, like, "How do you know so much about me?" I didn't. They answered questions, ran it through a computer, and the computer spit it out. But it was accurate. And then I could counsel them based on their temperament. So, but what about you? How are you going to use this information? So you could, hey, there's 3 different personality types. There's 2 different personality types. You can say, hey, discover this. In fact, it was one trait. It was so funny. And it was so true. You would see this trait in 2 types of people. Now, you saw it in more than 2, but 2 primarily. And when I saw this trait, I was truthfully, I was kind of cautious. Because you saw this trait, and it meant extreme, passion. And you saw this in serial murderers. And you saw this in many, many self-made millionaires. It was absolute focus and passion. And depending on the way they wrote and the depth of the pressure of even the ink pen they used would determine this. But I would say to people, hey, listen. And if I had, and usually I've started with something else, got them laughing, got a little rapport, and I was like, hey, listen, this trait here for you, based on everything else, I see you becoming really successful because your energy and da-da-da-da-da. Now, on the flip side of that, I've seen people, now, I don't see this in you, but I've seen people that become, if we look at some of these serial murderers, they had the same trait, but they had a negativity. You've got positive. I would steer them in the right direction, but warn them at the same time, stay focused. They would eat it up. They loved it. They would absolutely love it. So, again, graphology, handwriting analysis, all that's fine. But where I was really good with it was I wasn't a certified graphologist like my buddy is, but I knew how to put in language patterns. I knew how to ask questions that would elicit values. I knew how to anchor the positive emotions that they felt when I pulled them up to me, my product, or my service. And when I saw negative, I knew how to collapse that anchor so it would actually help them. I wanted to leave them in a better state than I found them. So, back to quiz funnels, or asking how a quiz. You could do a simple quiz funnel with ads. You could do a simple post on Facebook, Instagram, etc. Hey, would you like to know this? You can take them through a simple form. And there's quiz funnels out there. There's software that will actually, especially with AI, that will actually give them an answer. What I personally would do is I would personally have you go through it yourself. Even if the computer gives an answer like, hey, you're an endomorph, you're an ectomorph, you are introvert, extrovert, you're high D, you're high I, whatever. And then I would have somebody reach out and say, hey, let me go over this with you in detail. Now, I'll tell you who does it. Tony Robbins, at least he did a few years ago. You could go to his site and get a free disc profile. He's really accurate. Then what happened? You got on his email list. You started receiving his emails. You started receiving text messages. You started receiving notifications about his podcast. You were now in his ecosystem. It was a lead gen. Now, Tony Robbins size, you can hire a sales team. But if you're just starting out, or you're just willing to go another marketing method, or you're part-time, I'm going to talk to my life and business coaches here, and you want to go full-time, what if you could have 2 or 3 conversations a day with people based on a quiz they filled out? They're going to be intrigued because it's about them. The innate selfishness comes out. It's about them. And then you take that information, you give them a free consultation call, you go over their quiz, whatever it is, and we'll get into details. Our one-on-one clients, I help you build all this out. But you get into the quiz, you get into the results, and then you ask them, how could you possibly help them? Where do they see? So Mr. Prospect, based on this, this survey here, this is what it shows. How do you see us helping you? And it opens up the door for you to introduce yourself and help them in that area. If you want to know more, be sure to follow. Jump over to yourpersuasioncoach.com. Be sure to subscribe. And again, for my coaches, consultants, course creators, go to sellingyourcoaching.com. Hope this is good. Over the next few episodes, I may dig a little deeper into this. And if you want to hear some of my real life stories that I'm not going to put on air about how the people I connected with, some of the things when it comes to, in fact, a movie star, a very famous, actually sitcom actor that chased me down at a Walmart because of a meeting where we did handwriting analysis. I'll share that story maybe in another episode. Anyway, go to sellingyourcoaching.com. Go out there, change lives, and get paid well for doing it. God bless.
Go to yourpersuasioncoach.com for more powerful resources on how to influence yourself, influence others, and impact the world.